Hello and welcome to another episode of Get It Right. On today's episode, we will be discussing about avocado farming and the outlook in the international market. With me is an expert from Greenwise Innovators who will be telling us more about avocado farming in Kenya and what farmers need to know. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, yes, Susan.
Yes, tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Joseph Ongeri. I'm an agronomist consultant. I work with a private company known as you said, Greenwise Innovators. We are situated in Kitengela at Stageview Plaza, first floor, then room number 3. This company is essentially committed in doing agronomy consultancy on farmers. We also committed on building greenhouses for farmers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Ongeri, there has been these conversations going on about avocado farming and especially about the Hass variety and all that. What can you tell us about the status of avocado farming here in Kenya as it is?
This is a fruit which originated from South America back in the colonial years. When it entered Kenya, those 18th century, it didn't really have much value. But with time and the change of life, avocado has incredibly become very famous fruit and which is consumed with most families. So it's a fruit which I can say it's a big fruit which is shared in most dishes because of its flavor and the texture. So avocado farming really is taking a different direction from many years before. Now many people want to do farming because of its value, nutritional value and its market demand, both in Kenya and internationally.
Okay, so are there any ecological factors that must be considered before a farmer can think of doing avocado farming?
Yes, Susan, like any other crop, avocado has got its own ecological requirements. Avocado does well in areas of altitudes between 1,000 to 2,000 meters above sea level. So any area that falls outside this range, I can say it's not good for that farming. And then it does well in a pH value of 5 to about 7, about 5 to 7 pH. And then with the soil consideration, the avocado considers a soil of loamy soil, sandy loamy soil, which is well drained. So this area can do very well.
Which counties would you consider the best to grow avocados?
Considering the parameters that I've said, you realize that most Kenyan area falls under this area. But as it sits now, most areas are not doing that. But they are viable, they are suitable for that farming. But if you look around, areas around Nairobi, the counties like Kiambu, Machakos, Kirinyaga, then outside you go to Machakos, you go to Bomet, Kisii County, Bungoma. Those are the areas that when I walk around, I'm able to see the avocado farming. But I can tell the farmers that most of our Kenyan land where we fall is viable for avocado farming, except a few areas like in the coast or in the northern areas, in the northern part of Kenya.
When it comes to land preparations and seed propagations, what would you educate farmers on that?
We have to do the first tillage, then we do the harrowing of the land. After that, we make sure that we get the fine tillage of the land. Then we come to mark the rows and the holes where we plant this. We do it maximizing and doing standard spacing such that when the tree grows, they don't squeeze one another. So when we have done that, we dig holes that are 2 feet round. That is 2 feet by 2 feet, then deep by 2 feet. So we dig these holes, 17 feet hole to hole, then 17 feet row to row. Now coming to the preparation of each hole where we want to plant this. We dig the 2 feet, then we scoop the soil. The top soil, we keep it separate. And then the lower soil, about before we reach half of the 2 feet, we take the top soil, we put it separate. And then the lower soil, we also put it separate.
So why do we need to separate the
We-
top soil and the inner soil?
Correct. Now, the top soil is fertile than the deeper soil. So we are going to use the top soil, putting it back to the hole for the plant to use. So what we do, we take this topsoil, mix it with manure, then with some fertilizer, take it back to the hole for the plant to start. Yeah, we take like 15 kgs of well decomposed manure. We take 120 grams of TSP. We mix it well with the topsoil. So I think you can see we have made a mixture of the topsoil, well decomposed manure, and our TSP. So we put it back to the hole. The manure is known to produce the nitrogenous content, and then the TSP has got the P content, which is good for the start of the plant. Now we take our crop. We take, always after propagation, there is a polythene which holds the soil and the roots firm. So you remove the polythene, open the ground in the hole, put your seedling straight, then affirm the soil. After that, you put about 5 liters of water to each hole for a start. So from there, your crop is good to start.
All right.
Yes.
And would you term avocado farming as a one that requires a lot of agronomist activities, like you need to check over and over? Does it require so much attention, or is it the kind of crop you just plant and you're good to go?
Provided you start it right, I can say as much as it will need your attention, it will not need much attention as compared to these other crops. This is a tree. You understand, this is a tree. A tree might require much of your time during the start. But as it moves on, you'll be doing your things away from. Maybe you'll be making visits to the farm maybe once a week.
There is a question that seems to come out over and over from farmers, and they want to know, what is the best time to do land preparation for avocado farming?
For you to do any farming, you have to be in farming much early before you do the actual farming. Yes. In January, December, we have very little rains. These are the times one needs to prepare the land. And then this is the time also one needs to make even the holes much early, such that the holes have enough time also to acclimatize. One key area that we also need to teach our farmers is that we need to do the soil sampling for the complete analysis. One needs to understand the capacity of his soil, because not all soils of all locations are the same. So after doing the soil test, and you know what your soil needs, what is in excess or what is in less, you are able to give your crop the right amount of what it needs.
So everybody is talking about avocado farming, like I had mentioned earlier. And in fact, now avocado farming is being defined as the gold mine for the modern farmer. Yes. So what would you say is really the advantages of, at a time like this, of growing avocados?
If farming of the avocado can be done overnight, then I can tell everyone to join in. But unfortunately, it's a long-term crop. The international market is open for our farmers, but we are not producing enough. You realize China has signed an agreement with our country. They are taking 40% of our produce. Kenya now, currently we are producing 115 metric tons each year, which is not enough. In fact, Kenya is the 6th largest producer of avocado in the world. Then if you look at the value of the avocado farming, you find that you don't spend much time there. In fact, if it's the sprays you do, the protection you do to the crop, you do it 3 times a year. So you take less time there, but you get more production from the crop.
And now that every farmer is now asking about avocado farming and so many people are joining in, don't you think something might change once there is an influx in the market? What's going to happen? Is there something perhaps farmers need to see beyond?
I always find this information with most farmers. Once they realize everybody wants to do this farming, some shy off and run away from the business. And those who remain, they enjoy the monopoly. And even without the monopoly, we have not produced enough. Germany wants our avocado. South America wants our avocado. South Africa itself, it's the biggest exporter. But they buy from us. We don't give them enough. Mauritius buys from us. China has gone as far as making a pact, making sure that they scoop our 40%. So we are far much less to supply. So let our farmers join in. If you look, our local market still is big.
So what are these standards that this fruit must meet for it to qualify for the international market that farmers need to know?
It has to meet its shape first. Shape is very important. I remember in the year 2003, German banned our export, our avocado export. Why? Most of our fruits didn't attain that shape. They had crooked shapes. Why? Our practices were not right. Then another one is we have to produce sweet fruits. When you do the feeding, you know the potassium part of the fertilizer is responsible for the sweetness of our fruits.
You mentioned something very interesting, and this is the shape of the fruit.
Yes.
Is it really possible to control that? Isn't that, how do we call it? Isn't that dependent on the species of the particular fruit?
Even with that species, yes, it has got its own standard shape. But if you don't give it a good care, it will take another shape. As I have said, too many crowded fruits without pruning done, we shall have very crooked shapes. And if you do poor feeding programs.
Let's talk about the regulations that especially the small-scale farmers need to know before they can actually now start farming for the international market.
Yeah, the regulations usually comes from the buyer. And then there before, we used to export our fruits without any problem. But later on, when China came in, they came with their demands, with their regulations, asking our farmers to freeze to a certain degree our fruits, which came a problem to small-scale farmers. But then I will encourage our farmers that not to fear, shy off from the farming. I will advise them to form cooperatives. In these cooperatives, they will come up with machines, the cold storage machines, where they will go and frozen their produce. I will ask them to attach themselves to these big, large-scale farmers. They become their outgrowers, such that because they don't have really the powers to do so for the market, so they can seek contract from large-scale farmers. They become their outsourcing grounds.
So thank you for the insight. So far, so good. I feel like farmers are really benefiting from this conversation. And we will be taking a short commercial break, but don't go too far.